Good morning. Today's July 5th. 2 years ago, it was on a Saturday. My mind goes back to that morning when I woke up. I was laying in the TV room at the hospital. I've already spoken to Mom concerning that one more thing she had to tell me. That I wish that she would hurry up and tell me. As I laid there in the TV room, I was thinking, I've already been here 6 days. Molly and Lil picked me up at the airport, filled me in on the truth as to what was going on. The truth that I've been not told for the last 3 or 4 years. I asked them both not to say nothing. I'll take care of it. That morning after I got up, I went in, got my Bibles and devotions after saying good morning to Mom. I still haven't spoken hardly any words at all to my sister Debbie or to Dad over those 6 days. It just wasn't there. I wanted nothing to do with either one of them. I needed answers from them. That's what I needed. But they were unwilling. And I was unwilling to even talk to them. Anyways, as I got my Bible and devotion book out, my sister gets up and leaves, like she's done for the last 6 mornings. My sister won't have nothing to do with the Bible whatsoever. Oh, she plays the godly woman thing and goes to church, you know, but reality, she doesn't do anything during the week. Anyways, that Saturday morning, I was talking to Mom before I prayed and read the Bible. And I wanted her to understand that the last thing you gotta tell me, I wish you'd hurry up. Because right now I'm thinking that you're picking on me. That you're keeping me in a place I don't like. You know I don't want to be here. I did the devotions, and I'm sitting in there just talking to Mom. I think I was telling her about my life here in Yuma, if you want to call this a life. Anyway. For the first time in 6 days, Dad got up and left. I was dozing. Now, I didn't hear him leave. I just woke up from dozing. This was about 10 o'clock in the morning. Debbie was on the other side of the bed, holding on Mom's hand. Dad wasn't in the room. For the first time in 6 days, Dad wasn't there. Well, I sat there and I'm looking at Mom. Months before, Debbie called me up. She wanted me to help her financially. She told me that the house burned down to the ground and there was nothing but a vacant lot where her and Alan lived at. And her plans were to put a trailer in there so she could be closer to Mom and Dad without living at Mom and Dad's. At the time I thought it was a good idea. So I sent her everything I had, $1,500. Well, on the way going to the hospital, I was told about that house. Still there. Yes, it did burn internally, but it was still there. In other words, my sister found an opportunity and a good sob story to rob me. Well, anyways, I sat there, raised my head, looked at my sister, and I just hopped up and asked her what her plans were. What are your plans now? Now she didn't look at me. She was looking down at her hands. And she said, they've changed. Well, that confused me. And I just popped up and says, well, how have they changed? Quote, the wrong person is laying here. Unquote. Those words put a fighter in me, put a resentment, anger, hostility, you name the feeling that is negative, and you knew how I felt. I stood up in totally unbelief of the words that I just heard. I can't fathom my emotions hearing my sister say those words. I looked at my sister and I just popped up and said, sis, that money that I sent you, you have 24 hours to put it in my hand after Mom goes to Jesus. Or I will track you down and kill you. And I walked out. Now I smoked a cigarette outside that hospital. You had to go off the property. Well, I took a walk off the property and I was sitting on the curb and I had a cigarette. As soon as I got done with that one, I lit up the second one. Going through what Debbie just said concerning the wrong one is laying here. Trying to put it in perspective, I couldn't do it. I could not put those words that she said in any kind of perspective. Couldn't put them into any kind of common sense. Well, after I finished the second cigarette, I walked back up to the main entrance of the hospital. Across the drive from the main entrance, there's a chair, bench, would be more like it. I didn't want to go back in the hospital yet. It was about 11 o'clock. I sat out there and said to hell with it. I lit up another cigarette. Breaking the hospital law. Well, I sat out there and smoked that cigarette. Decided to go get something to eat before I went back to the room. I went to the hospital cafeteria and got something to eat. And while I was sitting there, I overheard a conversation from the table behind me. Apparently these people had a new life in their family, a baby. And they were deciding on a name. Don't really know what name they gave the baby, because they had quite a few names picked out. Dorothy was one of them. Effergene was another one. Then there was a couple common names, Jane and Judy. Didn't really want to stay to figure it out, because I already ate. You know, when they got there just as I was finishing. But just the fact that there was a new birth calmed me down. As I was getting in the elevator, I realized that I've been gone for 2.5 hours. For 6 days I was never gone for that length of time. I think my mom passed. And I'm going to hate myself for not being there. And I'm going to hate my sister even more. Especially if mom's already been passed during those 2.5 hours. I was riding up the elevator. Anger took over again. I thought I was calm. But just knowing that if I walked into the room and mom was dead, I think I would have just pounded my sister to death. That was where my mind was going. Well, as I got off the elevator and started walking down the hallways, sense of Jane, you're being stupid. Mom's still there because she's got that one more thing to tell you. And she's not going to go until she tells you that one thing. She's not going to leave you hanging for the rest of your life, not knowing what it was that she had to tell you. So stop your stupidity. And I started laughing. Well, I entered the corridor where Mom was. I've already had conversations with a couple of the nurses. And one nurse asked me how I was doing. I said, okay. You know, had a little problem with my sister this morning, but I tell you, families can be so annoying at times. And she just kind of laughed and she goes, yeah, I got one of those too. So apparently she had Debbie pegged as being that thorn in every family. And her and I just smiled at each other. Well, I walked into the room. Debbie was sitting next to Dad. I walked around, took Mom's hand again, and told her where I'd been the last 2.5 hours. And Mom, I wish you'd hurry up and tell me that one last thing you want to tell me. Because you know I don't like being here. Now, that afternoon, just I don't know. How could anybody say that? Is beyond me. That's going to be a thorn in me for quite a while. Anyway, I'm looking at it'll be 18 minutes. I'll cut it off at 18 minutes. But anyway, everything is going okay here. I just have to get through the next few days. Then the celebration on the 11th. So with that, have a very good, I don't even know what day of the week this is, but I know it's not Saturday. Anyway, God bless.